We do not stand still and are developing for you, so we bring to your attention a new voice and a new story.
Returning with another gripping tale, dear audience, today's story will resonate deeply within you. It is a saga of treachery, sorrow, and retribution that underscores how the deepest hurts can originate from those closest to us. Welcome to the life of Bella Marcus, a 67-year-old woman who sacrificed everything for her daughter, only to hear words that would tear any mother apart. Gather your tissues, find a comfortable spot, and brace yourself for a ride that exemplifies the immense power of maternal love and anger. I am Bella Marcus, and I've weathered decades of happiness and pain, success and sorrow. But nothing could have prepared me for the destructive words that my own daughter would speak on what should have been one of the most triumphant days of my life. On a brisk October morning in Manhattan, I found myself standing outside the distinguished law firm of Harrison, Blake and Associates, holding a small bunch of white roses, Jessica's favorite flowers since she was 7. My hands trembled not due to the autumn chill, but from unadulterated pride. My daughter, my lovely, intelligent Jessica, had just been elevated to senior partner at one of New York's most prestigious law firms. After 22 years of self-denial, restless nights, and juggling 3 jobs to fund her education at Columbia Law School, this day felt like redemption for every decision I made as a single mother. I had traveled on the Greyhound bus from our small town in upstate New York, depleting my entire monthly Social Security income for this trip because I wouldn't have traded it for anything. Jessica had contacted me 3 days earlier, her voice filled with joy. "Mom, you need to attend the celebration party. It's important. They're announcing your advancement, and it will be covered by the press. I want you present when they take the photos for the legal journals." Those words filled me with joy. After years of feeling marginalized in my daughter's increasingly complex life, she wanted me there to celebrate her success. I spent 2 days preparing. I visited a discount store and purchased the best dress within my budget, a navy blue one that made me feel sophisticated despite its $29.99 price tag. I even indulged in professional makeup at the department store counter, allowing the young attendant to revitalize my worn-out face into something resembling distinguished. However, as I waited outside that gleaming office building, observing my daughter through the floor-to-ceiling windows as she laughed with her colleagues, a feeling of unease washed over me. Jessica kept glancing towards the entrance, and each time she did, her smile faded slightly. My phone vibrated, a text from Jessica. "Mom, altered arrangements, don't ascend yet, I'll notify you when required." I squinted at the message, rereading it. "When needed." The invitation stated 2 p.m., and it was currently 2:15. Through the windows, I observed a boisterous gathering. I typed back, "Sweetheart, I'm outside now. Should I go up?" A prompt reply followed, "Absolutely not. Wait for my cue." The word "not" struck me forcefully. Yet I waited as mothers do, expecting my child's instruction. After 20 minutes, then 30. I watched as the photographers circulated among the crowd, recording the festivities. I saw Jessica grinning with the other partners under the camera flashes. I noticed her receiving congratulations from colleagues in elegant attire, their handshakes firm and their laughter sincere. Then I spotted him, a tall, refined gentleman in his 50s approaching Jessica. From afar, I observed her face brighten upon spotting him, much like it did when she was young and beheld her cherished teacher or aced a test. He bestowed a kiss to her cheek, causing her to chuckle at his words, gently touching his arm, an indication of long-standing intimacy. My device vibrated once more, and this time it was a call. "Mom," Jessica's voice now held tension, cautious. "Yes, dear. Are you prepared for me to arrive?" A lengthy silence followed. In the backdrop, I heard the jingle of glasses, refined amusement, conversations characteristic of significant individuals in important settings. In truth, Mom, there has been a shift in arrangement. My heart grew heavy. What alteration? The fact is, this gathering was primarily a business affair rather than a familial celebration. There are numerous essential clients and prospective allies present. As you know, it's all very professional. I brought the phone nearer to my ear, straining to comprehend her words. "I get it, dear. I'll act accordingly." "No, Mom, that's not it. It's..." Another moment of silence. This situation requires more discretion. It turns out that certain individuals in this line of work are very cautious about their image. Reputation is paramount here. Image. The word echoed ominously within me. "What do you mean by that, Jessica?" I could sense her gathering courage for a tough discussion. "It means I need your assistance. A significant favor. Of course, dear. Anything. But when you arrive, if you do, please don't disclose our relation." The world seemed to halt. Traffic continued on the street below, and pedestrians passed me by. Yet for me, everything had become utterly motionless. What did you say? Dear, let's not complicate things unnecessarily. Simply put, if anyone queries, you're an acquaintance. A person who knew me while I was growing up. Is there a possibility you could do something for me? I looked up at the building, its windows revealing my daughter's dazzling realm. A realm that seemingly had no place for the woman who devoted her life to shaping it. Jessica, I whispered softly, are you embarrassed of me? It's not about embarrassment, Mom. It's about business and career. These people have certain expectations, and, well, I don't meet them. The silence at the other end was telling enough. Jessica, please, just this once. Just for today. Could you please keep it a secret that you are my daughter? Those words, keep it a secret that I am your mother, struck me like a tangible blow. They reverberated in my ears, bounced around my head, and settled in my chest as shards of glass. I remembered all the times I worked double shifts at the diner to pay for her college tuition, and all the instances where I sacrificed meals so she could have proper ones. For years, I had donned the same 3 dresses at significant functions, as every penny spared went towards her textbooks, bar exam fees, and professional attire. I pondered on the pride that fueled 2 decades of self-sacrifice, the pride of being Jessica's mother. Yet she asked me to feign my absence. Mom, can you hear me? I glanced once more at the building. Inside, I saw Jessica continue her conversation with the esteemed man, still laughing, still radiating in her flawless world. I'm here, I replied. Will you comply with your request, Mom? You won't reveal yourself as my mother when you come up? A chill and hardness filled my chest. It was akin to the death of innocence, the end of illusions, the instant when love and disappointment clash so forcefully they generate something new, something dangerous. Yes, Jessica, I whispered. I'll comply with your wish. Thank you, Mom. You're wonderful, she said. She said she'd contact me when it was appropriate for me to join her. After ending the call, I remained on the sidewalk, clutching my white roses as my daughter reveled in her accomplishments, oblivious to my presence. Yet Jessica had misjudged a crucial detail. She assumed that by agreeing to her demand, I would retreat into obscurity, become an unnoticed family acquaintance, and fade into insignificance. However, she was mistaken. If Jessica desired me to conceal our bond, then I would grant her wish, yet in a manner she'd never forget. Because sometimes the most haunting response to callousness is impeccable compliance. I stood there on that Manhattan sidewalk for another 10 minutes, my mind buzzing with ideas. Suddenly, the white roses in my hand felt like tools, and the navy blue dress I once cherished now seemed protective. Jessica asked me to deny our mother-daughter relationship. I would oblige her request, but in a way she'd carry with her forever. I'd reject it so firmly, she'd grasp what she was proposing. My phone vibrated with her text. All right, Mom, you can arrive now. Recall our discussion. I strode into the building, my footsteps determined and decisive. The lobby, all marble and gold, seemed designed to instill fear, but I no longer felt afraid. I was focused. The elevator ascended to the 42nd floor, and when it opened, I exited into a realm of crystal chandeliers, champagne flutes, and muted luxury banter. Jessica recognized me at once. She stood there with a man I'd glimpsed outside, and she came toward me with a smile that fell short of her eyes. Mom, she whispered, then corrected herself. I mean, Bella, thank you so much for coming. She was using my first name to evade the title Mom in public, essentially burying the last remnant of my maternal role. Indeed, I replied, keeping my tone cheerful. I wouldn't have wanted to miss this for anything. As the distinguished man drew near, Jessica stiffened. Richard, let me present Bella Marcus to you. She's someone I've known for a significant length of time. Richard offered his hand with a friendly grin. Richard Thornton, senior partner. Anyone who's friends with Jessica is a friend of ours. How do you know her new associate? This was the moment Jessica had been apprehensive about, the moment she asked me to fabricate the truth regarding the most crucial connection in our lives. I looked at Jessica, saw the fear in her eyes, the silent plea for me to collaborate in her deception, and I smiled. Oh, Richard, I said, my voice ringing out. I'm nothing special, truly. Just someone who used to change Jessica's diapers. Jessica paled at this. Bella, that's not true. Yes, I persisted, gathering steam. 3-year-old Jessica was stubborn about using the potty, often hiding behind the couch. Bella, she called out sharply, filled with panic. Richard appeared perplexed, looking back and forth between us. He inquired, You've been changing her diapers? I feigned surprise, placing my hand over my chest. I didn't mention that. Jessica had explicitly requested secrecy regarding my role as her mother. Don't tell anyone I'm your mom, she had said, and I won't. A heavy silence ensued, causing Richard to arch his eyebrows, nearly reaching his hairline. Nearby conversations paused as people turned to watch the scene unfold. Your mother? He asked slowly. Yes, but Jessica doesn't want anyone knowing that, I replied. She fears it could harm her image, having a mother who commuted by bus from upstate New York and purchased her dresses at discount stores. Jessica was looking at me with a blend of shock and dismay. Mom, why are you doing this? I inquired gently. I believed I was merely Bella, someone who knew you since childhood. Make up your mind, dear one. More people were now turning to gaze, sensing potential drama. Richard coughed awkwardly. Ms. Marcus, it seems there might be some confusion. Oh no, absolutely no confusion, I replied cheerfully. Jessica was undeniably clear. She's ashamed that her mother worked multiple jobs to fund her law school education. She doesn't want her new, influential colleagues to discover that her mother cleaned office buildings at night and waited tables during the day to afford her tuition at Columbia Law School. Mom, please, Jessica pleaded softly, her face now flushed with embarrassment and rage. Could you refrain from sharing certain memories, like the one about your first period in 7th grade that left you crying for 3 hours, or the story of practicing closing arguments in front of our bathroom mirror with a hairbrush as a microphone? A photographer seems to be focusing on us now, adjusting his position. Richard spoke, maintaining diplomatic politeness, suggesting we discuss Jessica's food poisoning incident from her sophomore year at Columbia, which required your late-night visit due to her being too ill to call a doctor. Jessica stopped me, pleading for me to desist. She, this accomplished woman who requested I vanish from her life, left me feeling cold and strong inside when I looked at her. Cease stating that I'm your mother. I stated audibly enough for many in the room to overhear. However, Jessica, you explicitly requested me not to reveal my maternal relationship to anyone. I'm merely abiding by your wishes. The room seemed to grow more silent. Conversation subsided. Eyes were upon us. Richard appeared increasingly uneasy. Maybe we should move this discussion elsewhere. Oh, no, I replied, giving him a bright smile. Jessica desired this discord to unfold publicly. She wanted me to attend her grand celebration and feign being someone other than the woman who birthed her. She wished for me to stand here amidst all her significant friends and deny that I am the one who gave up everything so she could transform into the person she is today. Mrs. Marcus, Richard began. Did you happen to know, I continued casually, that Jessica used to be frightened of thunderstorms? Until she was 15 years old, she'd always run to me for comfort whenever it stormed. I cradled her and crooned, "You are my sunshine," causing her to drift off to sleep. Though tears streamed down Jessica's face. Mom, cease, she pleaded. So it appears you are addressing me as Mom in public? I mused, puzzled. The photographer was now openly capturing the scene, and it seemed that others were recording it with their phones. What's amusing is the situation, I told the growing audience of spectators. Jessica contacted me 3 days ago, filled with excitement about this promotion. She said, Mom, you must be there when they take these photos. I had assumed she meant because she was proud to be my daughter. However, Richard was frantically gesturing to someone in another part of the room, presumably attempting to call for intervention from security or PR personnel. It turned out, I discovered, that she only wanted me present so she could rehearse her new talent. Pretending that the woman who raised her didn't exist. It's like a magic trick, I realized. Watch as Jessica Marcus makes her mother vanish. Cease this, Jessica exclaimed, her previously unshaken professionalism collapsing entirely. Just cease. You're destroying everything. The room fell utterly quiet, eyes fixed on us. I glanced at my daughter, the woman I had cherished more than my own life for 34 years, and whispered gently, No, dear, you destroyed it when you asked me to hide that I was your mother. I placed the white roses on the closest table. Congratulations on your promotion, Jessica. I hope the cost was worth it to you. Then I moved towards the elevator, leaving my daughter in tears amidst her flawless party, amidst her perfect colleagues, in her ideal world that was now irrevocably spoiled. The elevator doors slid shut, and as we descended, I saw my reflection in the polished metal. I appeared exactly the same as I had an hour ago, but everything had shifted. Jessica asked me not to reveal I was her mother. For the following 4 hours on the bus journey to Millbrook, the longest of my life, I was tormented by the void of communication from my phone, where daily conversations with Jessica had taken place for 34 years. From college discussions, to nightly updates about her professors and boyfriends, to weekly career-related chats, Our bond was unbroken, until now. But now, there was nothing, leaving me to ponder my actions. A minuscule part of me questioned if I'd overstepped boundaries. However, the steely gaze in Jessica's eyes when she asked for the termination of our relationship echoed within me, solidifying the icy block in my chest even further. She felt ashamed of me, ashamed of the woman who'd provided her with everything. Now she had what she desired, a life free from her mortifying mother. By the time I reached my modest two-bedroom home on Maple Street, the news was already widespread. In a town of 3,000 residents, gossip travels swiftly, especially when it concerns a longtime resident. My neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, stood on my porch with a casserole and a worried expression. "Bella dear, I saw the online news. Are you all right?" I awkwardly fumbled with my keys, unable to speak. "What's the news about?" She displayed her phone, revealing the video from the party. The title read, "Viral Confrontation. Corporate Lawyer's Mother Exposes Daughter's Shame." The video had been shared across various social media platforms. As I watched, the view count escalated rapidly. 50,000 views, 75,000, 100,000. In the video, I clearly stated, Jessica explicitly instructed me not to disclose our relationship. She was unequivocal about this. "Don't reveal that you're my mother," she told me. The comments were harsh. "It's appalling to be so successful and ashamed of the woman who brought you up. This is a result of forgetting one's origins. Poor mother, she carried herself with such dignity despite her daughter publicly shaming her. Jessica Marcus ought to be ashamed." Mrs. Patterson consoled me by patting my shoulder. "The entire town is discussing it, dear. Everyone supports you." I continued scrolling through the comments, barely acknowledging her words, as the video rapidly gained traction online and was shared extensively. Local news stations were already reporting on it. "I erred," I murmured. "No, you didn't," Mrs. Patterson asserted decisively. "You defended yourself. That girl needed a reminder of who raised her." However, I was no longer certain. In the midst of the situation, standing in a shining law firm among Jessica's flawless co-workers, fulfilling her request felt like I was dispensing justice. However, as I watched the video circulate online and contemplated the possibility of my daughter's career being tarnished by my public embarrassment of her, I questioned whether I had transgressed a line from which there would be no return. The phone rang. For a fleeting instant, my heart leaped, thinking it might be Jessica reaching out to apologize, clarify, or rectify the situation. Instead, it was my sister Linda calling from Phoenix. "Bella, what on earth occurred in New York?" I sank onto my couch, feeling an abrupt exhaustion. She asked me not to reveal that I was her mother, Linda, her PR agent. Linda was silent for a moment. "Dear one, the video is everywhere. CNN has picked it up. They're calling it the mother-daughter altercation shaking the internet, Bella." My stomach churned. Oh my God! What requires fixing? It's clear she's embarrassed by me, and that includes acknowledging our relationship. Yes, she is still your daughter. Is she indeed? Because she seemed determined to deny that fact. After Linda ended the call, you were left alone in your quiet home, surrounded by pictures of Jessica spanning her life. A 5-year-old Jessica, missing her front teeth and beaming at the camera. A high school valedictorian Jessica. A Columbia Law School graduate Jessica. Tears streaming down her face as she embraced you. Had I truly lost her forever due to a single instance of public embarrassment? Wasn't 34 years of love demolished by this day? But then I recalled her voice over the phone. "Don't let anyone know I'm your mom." And I remembered the shame in her eyes when she introduced you as someone who had known you for a long time. Perhaps I'd lost her today, but perhaps I'd lost her much earlier. Perhaps today was just the day I accepted that truth. By the following morning, your phone was relentlessly ringing. Journalists from local papers, regional news channels, and national broadcasts contacted Mrs. Marcus. From Good Morning America, this is Janet Wheeler. "We'd like you to appear on our show to discuss your viral argument with your daughter. Calling from the Today Show, we're working on a segment about family relationships in the social media era. This is TMZ. Can you comment on reports that your daughter's law firm is reviewing internal matters?" I refused phone calls, but the video went viral, garnering over 2 million views. It was meme-ified, discussed by talk show hosts and scrutinized by social media influencers. Trust Don't Tell, and When I'm Your Mom trended on Twitter. Opinions were divided. Some viewed me as a courageous parent confronting an ungrateful child, while others saw me as a vengeful mother damaging my own child's career for personal gain. As always, the truth lay somewhere in between. 3 days following the gathering, Jessica phoned, addressing me as Mom. Her tone was feeble, fractured. Hello, Jessica. I replied, I've been dismissed. The statement startled me, almost like a tangible impact. Really? It seems the company terminated my employment. They argued that the adverse publicity was damaging their standing. They stated I demonstrated poor judgment in personal affairs and it reflected poorly on my capacity to serve clients. I shut my eyes, feeling nauseous. Jessica, I started, but then trailed off. I've lost everything, Mom. She continued, my job, my standing, my career. Other organizations refuse me due to the video. I'm untouchable now. The anguish in her voice was excruciating. This was my child, my little one, and I had shattered her life in a fit of anger and pain. Honey, I'm deeply regretful. I never meant. Yes, you did. Her voice grew stronger now, driven by fury. You intended every word of it. You aimed to embarrass me, and you succeeded. Jessica, please, allow me to clarify. Clarify what? How you decided to wreck my life because I offended your sensibilities. You didn't wound my emotions, I asserted, as my own rage escalated. You requested me to be erased from your life. You asked me to feign ignorance, to forget that I was the woman who nurtured you, who gave up everything for you. And you deemed it fitting to sabotage my career? I provided precisely what you asked for. No, you inflicted upon me a public humiliation that will haunt me forever. We both wept now. Jessica, I said, my voice cracking, I nurtured you to be proud of who you are, where you originate from. When did I transform into something to be embarrassed about? When you decided to cause a commotion at the most crucial juncture of my career. The most crucial day of your career was when you graduated from law school and I was there, cheering you on. This was merely another instance where you deemed me unworthy for your new realm. The silence yawned between us. Eventually, Jessica responded, her voice icy and detached. I never wish to lay eyes upon you again, Jessica. I assure you, Mother. You wrecked everything I had built. Our relationship is over. She ended the call. I found myself sitting in my kitchen, contemplating how love could transform into such venom so swiftly. Outside, journalists congregated on my street. News vehicles lined up along Maple Street, and reporters sought comments from neighbors regarding the mother who publicly humiliated her accomplished daughter. I had unexpectedly gained notoriety, an unwelcome type of fame. Mrs. Patterson approached my back door. Bella, sweetheart, you need to look at this. She handed me a newspaper. The headline read, A Small Town Mother's Vengeance, a tale on social media justice. The article depicted me as either a vengeful woman who ruined her daughter's life out of resentment or a working-class champion standing up against elitist arrogance. There was no in-between. But nestled within the article was a quote that sent chills down my spine. Sources close to the company claimed that Jessica Marcus was already under investigation for several months due to doubts about her decision-making abilities and social skills. The viral video might have given the company the reason they needed to dismiss her. Prior to the incident, she had faced trouble at work. The video may have been the last straw, but it wasn't the only factor in her termination. She was facing professional difficulties, and instead of seeking my assistance, she felt embarrassed about potential failure. The phone rang once more, this time from an unknown number. It was Dr. Sarah Chin, a family therapist based in New York City who had been keeping up with your story. Dr. Chin believes that you and your daughter could benefit from a mediated discussion. She doesn't want to speak to the therapist. People often say things when they're hurting and angry. Are you open to traveling to New York for a meeting? I'll contact Jessica independently. As I surveyed my home, with journalists stationed outside and pictures of Jessica that now seemed like remnants from another era, I pondered. Yet I knew deep down that Jessica had made her decision. She'd asked me not to reveal our relationship, and now she was effectively without a mother. I consented to consider it, but in truth, I recognized the reality. Jessica had chosen her path. Had I also fulfilled my own desires in the process? 2 weeks transpired. The media frenzy subsided slightly, yet the impact remained. Jessica's narrative evolved into a cautionary tale about family ties, ambition, and the costs of triumph. I attempted to resume my usual activities, but normalcy was elusive. Each grocery run prompted stares and hushed conversations. Some individuals approached me with empathy, affirming I had acted correctly. Others shot me disapproving glances, suggesting they thought I had destroyed my daughter's life in a fit of petty vengeance. I found myself questioning if their accusations held truth. One evening, my doorbell rang late. Through the peephole, I saw an unfamiliar woman standing there, dressed professionally, but with red-rimmed eyes and a defeated bearing. I cautiously opened the door. "Can I help you, Mrs. Marcus?" she asked. "I used to work with Jessica at the firm." Inviting her in, I offered tea and waited for her explanation as to why she was in my living room at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday night. "I've come to tell you something about Jessica," she said. "Something you should know." My heart tightened. "Is she all right?" she asked. "Yes, physically. But Mrs. Marcus, she's been struggling for longer than just since the video was released." The woman, named Amanda, took a shaky breath. "We both started at the firm 5 years ago, both ambitious and determined to become partners. But Jessica altered in some way. I couldn't quite grasp how she changed. She grew fixated on being accepted by the higher-ups. She adopted a new accent, wardrobe, and hobbies. She informed others she attended boarding school instead of public school in Millbrook. She claimed her family was wealthy aristocracy from upstate. Every utterance felt like a stab to my heart. She wasn't just misrepresenting her background, she was denying you. "Mrs. Marcus, Jessica has been deceiving people for 3 years about her parents, claiming they perished in a car accident when she was in college." The room seemed to spin. "What?" She stated she was brought up by distant relatives who covered her educational expenses but weren't truly related. She concocted this entire elaborate tale of being a foundling who triumphed over adversity through grit and resolve. I struggled to breathe. "Did she say I was deceased?" Amanda nodded, tears flowing freely. "I'm terribly sorry. I should have spoken up earlier, but office politics got in the way. I wondered if she had valid reasons for her actions. I hadn't recognized her as genuine until I viewed the video. Did you believe I was deceased too?" Jessica's performance was convincing. She had meticulously crafted a tragic past, even fabricating images of herself with family friends who supposedly raised her. "Mrs. Marcus, she's been living this deception for years." I remained silent, trying to comprehend the revelations. My daughter hadn't just been embarrassed by me at the party. She had been gradually eliminating me from her life for years, telling important people in her life that I was deceased. "Why are you informing me of this?" I asked. Amanda wiped her tears. "After the video became viral, some of us began to piece together the truth. We discovered she had been lying about everything. And we realized that you are not the antagonist in this tale. You are the victim. She lost her job because of my actions." "Mrs. Marcus, it had been apparent for months that Jessica was going to lose her job due to questions about her integrity. She'd been discovered telling lies about her background during client meetings, which the partners used as an excuse to take action. After Amanda left, I spent hours in my living room, contemplating photos of Jessica. All those years, I'd taken pride in her success, only to find out she was telling people I had died. Not just absent or embarrassing, but deceased. I recalled our conversations about her work, colleagues, and life in New York. I wondered if any of it was genuine, or if she kept her true life separate from her fabricated one. The phone rang. It was Jessica. "Mom, I need to see you." Her voice was softer, smaller, and broken in a way I'd never heard before. "I don't think that's wise, dear. Please. I understand you spoke with Amanda. I know you're asking to meet, but I don't think it's advisable." She realized I had found out about her deceit. This was evident from the conversation we shared. "Jessica, I'm heading towards Millbrook. It'll take me 3 hours to get there." She begged me not to leave or reject her visit. She ended the call before I could respond. During those 3 hours, I wandered restlessly around my house, contemplating a conversation I wasn't certain I desired. How does one converse with someone who has been spreading rumors about your demise? How does one initiate mending a bond constructed on such a profound falsehood? At 1 a.m., car headlights illuminated my front yard. I observed as Jessica stepped out of her vehicle, moved sluggishly towards my porch, and hesitantly knocked on the door with shaking hands. Upon opening it, I hardly recognized her. She had lost weight, her hair was disheveled, and she seemed like she hadn't slept in days. "Hello, Mom." "Jessica?" For a brief moment we stood there, two individuals who had shared 34 years of love, now struggling to find the right words to speak to each other. "May I enter?" Stepping aside, she moved into the living room where her childhood memories and our numerous discussions about her aspirations, goals, and future resided. She settled on the couch, breaking down instantly. "I'm truly sorry," she choked out. "I'm so sorry." I remained seated opposite her, maintaining a distance. "Which transgression, Jessica? For embarrassing me at the party or lying about my death for 3 years?" Her expression tightened. "All of it, each part. I don't know how I became this person." "I understand," I replied softly. "You transformed into this individual by making decisions. Every day for 3 years, you opted to deceive about who I was, who you were, and your origin. It started with minor lies to fit in. And then it escalated until you found yourself ensnared in a narrative you couldn't retract. Thus, you concluded the best course of action was to make it a reality, to truly erase me from your life. I never wished to eliminate you. I love you. You spread word of my supposed death, Jessica. Dead. Do you grasp the severity of that statement? Do you comprehend the anguish it evokes? She wept more intensely now. I'm aware. I understand the enormity of the act. It was inexcusable. So why did you do it? Because I was feeble, she murmured. Because I was terrified. Because I believed if people knew my truth, they wouldn't respect me. Your background truth is that your mother valued you enough to forsake everything for your prosperity. What could possibly be shameful about that? Nothing, she admitted. There has never been anything shameful about you. I was merely so eager to conform to individuals I deemed superior. Superior to us. Yes, superior to us. And I erred. I gazed at my daughter, this shattered woman who relinquished her morality and her family for approval from those who discarded her the instant she became a hassle. Jessica, what do you expect from me? I want my mother back, she replied. I yearned to return to a time when I wasn't capable of causing you such pain. Her gaze locked with mine. This woman who had been my child, now admitting to years of deceit by claiming I was deceased, leaving a fissure in my heart. Not a shatter, a fissure, like ice starting to melt. You can't return, Jessica. Neither of us can. But we can move forward, she pleaded. We can strive to rectify this. Can we? For I no longer recognize you. The child I raised would never have told lies about my death. The child I raised wouldn't have been ashamed of our working-class origins. The child I raised was honorable. Jessica recoiled as if struck. I am still that person. Beneath the deceit and errors, I am your daughter. Are you? Because my daughter contacted me 3 days ago and stated she never wished to see me again. In anger and pain, you accused me of ruining your career, when you had long since done so with years of deception. The quiet extended between us. From outside, I heard the wind whispering through the maple trees that defined our street. Inside, two individuals who deeply loved each other struggled to determine if love was powerful enough to mend the deep rift emerging between them. Mom, Jessica eventually uttered, I acknowledge I don't deserve forgiveness, and I know my actions were terrible, yet please don't abandon me completely. I gazed at her intently. Despite the fatigue and embarrassment, I could still perceive traces of the little girl who sought solace in my bed during storms. The teenager who rehearsed her speeches before mirrors. The young woman who phoned me every evening just to hear my voice. However, I also saw the person who deliberately distanced herself from me, who felt ashamed to acknowledge me as her mother. The one who opted for a falsehood instead of truth about her origins needed to comprehend something crucial. Jessica, it's essential you grasp this. When you asked me not to reveal my identity as your mother, it wasn't merely painful, it was devastating. It caused me to doubt every sacrifice I made for you. I never wished for you to feel that way. However, I did feel that way. And then I discovered the truth was far worse than I thought. You weren't just concealing my existence, you were actively denying it. Jessica nodded, her gaze evading mine. I understand, I said, maintaining a steady and composed tone. This is what will transpire next. You'll depart. You'll return to New York and determine who you truly are and what you genuinely desire. Not what others might perceive as impressive, but what resonates with your authentic self. Mother, there's more to say. You will cease the deception. About everything. About your past, about your relatives, about yourself. You're learning to accept and show pride in your origins, or you'll keep them hidden. What does that imply? It implies I won't be your secret mother anymore. I won't be the family you conceal from your professional life, only reaching out when emotional support is required. Either I'm your mother entirely, openly, without embarrassment, or I'm not your mother at all. Jessica's face fell apart. Are you cutting me off? I'm giving you a choice. The same one you gave me, in fact. You can have me as your mother, fully and publicly, without shame. Or you can maintain the life built on deceit. But you can't have both. Isn't that unfair? You asked me to vanish from your life. Now I'm telling you that you can either accept me or lose me, but you can't have it both ways anymore. I stood up, drained by the burden of this discussion. You need to leave now, Jessica. Mom, please, go. Reflect on what you truly desire. And once you have a clear understanding of it, we can discuss matters anew. She rose at a leisurely pace, wiping her tears. How will I recognize readiness? You'll be ready when you can dial my number and introduce yourself as Jessica Marcus, daughter of Bella Marcus, with pride in your voice. Otherwise, you'll have achieved the life without me that you requested on that day in New York. Jessica departed that evening, and there was no contact for a period of 6 months. A span of silence, contemplation, and uncertainty ensued, as I pondered over whether my response had been too stern or unyielding. I maintained my resolve, though, questioning if I had relinquished my relationship with my only child due to wounded pride. Essentially, Jessica needed to discover her identity without my continuous support, apologies, or receiving scraps of affection while she lived a deception. As the media frenzy subsided and fresh narratives dominated headlines, other families replaced us in viral videos and social media outbursts. My fleeting moments of fame dissipated into the annals of the internet. However, the repercussions lingered. I received hundreds of emails from parents confronting similar issues with their children who felt ashamed of their origins. Some endorsed my actions, terming it tough love, while others condemned me for ruining her career due to hurt feelings. Eventually, I stopped reading them. The sole perspective that truly mattered was mine, and I was still grappling with my thoughts on the entire situation. One day, Mrs. Patterson presented me with a newspaper clipping from the business section. A local woman launches nonprofit for working class families. The focus was on Jessica. She had returned to upstate New York, not Millbrook, but to Albany, where she established an organization that offered legal aid to families with minimal income, unable to afford representation. Now she openly discussed her working class background and her mother, who worked multiple jobs, as the article stated. I removed the piece from the newspaper and placed it on my refrigerator next to pictures of a young Jessica. I told myself it was progress. She was rediscovering her true self. However, it wasn't enough yet. 3 more months elapsed. Then, one Tuesday in April, my phone rang. This was Jennifer Walsh from the Albany Times-Union, calling about a feature story on local nonprofits. She had interviewed your daughter Jessica the previous day. My heart began to race. Oh, she spoke highly of you. She mentioned that you were her motivation behind establishing her organization, stating that observing you work numerous jobs to sustain her family taught her the importance of aiding those lacking privileges. It's heartening to learn this. Moreover, she admitted that she owed you an apology for not showing courage sooner, but expressed her effort in becoming someone worthy of your forgiveness. After the call ended, I spent quite some time contemplating forgiveness, pride, and the intricate nature of love between parents and children in my kitchen. That night, I took a step I hadn't taken in nearly 9 months. I reached out to Jessica. She answered instantly. "Mom?" I heard her start to cry. "I've missed you too. I read about your nonprofit." "Yes, I did. I am proud of you, Jessica. Not because you are successful, but because you are finally being true to yourself. I, too, am striving for authenticity. Learning all those falsehoods I told myself proved tougher than anticipated. Truth often is harder. This is why so many opt for deception instead." That night, we spoke for 2 hours about her line of work, the family she aided, and her journey to rediscover her identity after years of assuming another persona. She didn't summon me, neither did she ask for my pardon. Instead, she conversed with me as if I were her mother, candidly, sincerely, without embarrassment. It was a step forward. Over the ensuing months, Jessica and I frequently communicated, not daily like before, but often enough that I started to grasp who she was once more. She shared stories of a client similar to me, a single mother juggling 2 jobs, seeking aid with a custody battle. She spoke of her nonprofit's board members, hailing from backgrounds comparable to ours, comprehending that being working class wasn't something to be ashamed of. She shared her new therapy journey, addressing the guilt and insecurity that prompted her to fabricate intricate stories about her life. Crucially, she resumed involving me in her authentic life again. She referenced me personally in interviews. She credited my impact on her choice to establish the nonprofit. She uploaded a picture of us from her law school graduation onto the organization's site with a caption saying, "My mother, Bella Marcus, who taught me that effort and affection are the most precious gifts one can give a child." However, she did not invite me for an in-person meeting. I understood why. We both wanted to ensure the foundation was strong before attempting to rebuild what had been destroyed. The wounds were too deep to quickly return to our past ways. Then in December, around a year after the incident that transformed everything, Jessica contacted me with a distinct request. "Child, there's something I need to ask about, and you can honestly say no if you wish." Parent, "What is it?" Child, "A charity event is happening next month, where we're celebrating people who have made significant impacts on the lives of working families." Parent, "Interesting." Child, "I want to honor you at this event. Your reaction caught me off guard." Parent, "Me? You think I deserve that?" Child, "Yes, because you embody everything this organization stands for. As a single mother, You've given up so much for your child's education and worked tirelessly without complaint or giving up. You truly deserve recognition for that. Parent, I don't need. Child, I understand you don't crave recognition, but I feel compelled to give it to you. Parent, in public? Child, yes, in front of everyone who matters to me now. I want to acknowledge you as my mother and express how proud I am to be your daughter. Child, are there any speeches involved? Parent, only if you'd like to give one. A conversation long overdue occurred. One that should have happened a year ago before falsehoods, disgrace, and public scandal shattered us. All right, I agreed. I'll go through with it. The event took place at a hotel in Albany. Not as lavish as the firm where everything fell apart, but sophisticated enough to warrant an effort. I purchased a new dress, not from a bargain store this time, but from a legitimate department store. I had my hair styled professionally. Even footwear was upgraded. However, it was the internal preparations that consumed me. This would mark our first public appearance together since the viral video. The gaze of the spectators and their speculations about our reconciliation or discord loomed. I chose to disregard societal perceptions. This evening symbolized my daughter bravely acknowledging me in public, and my demonstrating the poise to allow her that moment. Upon my arrival at the hotel, Jessica was found in the lobby. She radiated beauty. Not the stern and imposing kind she displayed at the law firm, but a softer, authentic essence. She donned a modest black dress and wore her grandmother's pearls, the ones I had gifted upon her graduation from college. "Hello, Mom," she greeted me, and her voice held a steady warmth. She embraced me then, not the formal, obligatory gesture of the law firm, but a genuine hug. This touched some thawing to the chill encircling my heart. "Are you anxious?" she inquired. "A bit," I replied. "And yourself?" "Extremely so," she confessed, but in a positive manner. The ballroom housed approximately 200 people, donors, board members, clients of the nonprofit, and local politicians who supported their work. As we walked in together, I noticed heads turning to gaze at us, some recognizing us from the viral video, others simply intrigued by the evening's recipient. Jessica led me to a table close to the front, where I sat with other recipients and their families. She gave my hand a squeeze before heading towards the speaker's table. Throughout dinner, I observed my daughter navigating the room. She shifted from one table to another, expressing gratitude to donors, conversing with clients, presenting board members to potential allies. However, this time, her exchanges seemed sincere rather than staged or insincere. She was simply being Jessica. Thoughtful, passionate, dedicated to her endeavors. When it came to the award ceremony, Jessica took the microphone. "Good evening, everyone," she began. "I appreciate you joining us tonight to aid families who strive to create brighter futures for their children." She elaborated on the nonprofit's purpose, recounted the clients they assisted, emphasized the significance of offering legal assistance to those financially incapable. Tonight, we're acknowledging various individuals embodying our organization's values. However, I wish to commence with someone who embodies these values specifically for me. My pulse quickened. Raised by a single parent, Bella Marcus, in Millbrook, New York, I was guided through college and law school with her tireless effort. She juggled 3 jobs: cleaning office buildings at night, waiting tables during the day, and selling insurance on weekends. Despite the hardships, she never grumbled, made me feel remorseful for her sacrifices, nor allowed me to question my potential. The silence in the room was palpable. Some of you might recall a viral video from last year detailing a heated disagreement between my mother and I at my previous workplace. That video encapsulated a moment when I fell short of embodying the values she instilled in me. When I felt ashamed of the background that shaped who I am, I noticed people subtly shifting, paying closer attention. I'm ashamed of that incident and the decisions leading up to it, but I'm thankful for it because it compelled me to reevaluate myself and return to my true self. Jessica stared intently at me. "Mom, could you join me here?" I wobbled on unsteady legs and advanced to the front of the room. Jessica passed me the microphone, leaving me momentarily speechless. Then I looked upon the crowd, seeing all these individuals dedicated to aiding families like Jessica and mine, and found my words. "A year ago," I said, "my daughter asked me not to reveal our relationship to anyone. It was one of the most agonizing moments of my life." Whispers rippled through the audience. However, tonight, she's requested me to publicly acknowledge being her mother with pride. And I am proud. I'm proud to be Jessica's mother. I'm proud of the work she accomplishes now. And I'm proud that she rediscovered the values I had tried to instill in her. I passed the microphone to Jessica. "I love you, dear," I murmured. "I love you too, Mom," she responded. This time, her calling me Mom in public wasn't an error or a slip of the tongue. It was deliberate. The crowd cheered. Some were standing, others were crying, and I understood that our tale had grown beyond merely a mother and daughter resolving their issues. We had become a representation of redemption, demonstrating that even the most severe family rifts could mend. After the event, Jessica and I walked to her car together. "Thank you," she said, "for not abandoning me, for giving me another chance to be your daughter again. You were always worthy, Jessica. You just forgot it temporarily." "I know, and I'm sorry it took me so long to remember. We are two women who have caused each other significant pain and found our way back to love." "What's next?" I inquired. "We move forward, not to retrace the past, but towards something superior." I concurred. As I navigated home to Millbrook that night, my mind drifted to the year elapsed since the dismal day in New York. Both of us had suffered losses. Jessica, her employment and fabricated persona. Me, the delusions about our bond. Yet, we discovered gains too. Jessica found her genuine self and fulfilling work, while I uncovered my resilience and understanding that love doesn't tolerate disregard. What mattered most was how we rediscovered each other. 6 months on, I sat in my garden when the phone rang. It was Jessica, sharing news that would mark our return to one another. "Mom, I have news." "What is it, dear?" "I've been offered a job, a truly promising opportunity." My heart momentarily faltered. Had we endured such trials? Was she contemplating abandoning Albany for a return to the corporate realm that had instigated our strife? "Do tell," I replied cautiously. "I've been offered a position with the State Attorney General's office, tasked with spearheading a new division dedicated to shielding low-income families from exploitation. This role mirrors the work I've been engaged in with a nonprofit, yet boasts greater resources and broader influence." A sense of ease washed over me. This wasn't a retreat into corporate law. Instead, it was an advancement towards work that resonated with her convictions. "You should be immensely proud, dear." "There's more," she continued, her joy audible in her tone. "The role carries conditions. They expect me to deliver public speeches detailing my past and empathizing with working families' needs. They emphasize that your upbringing, being part of the working class, and having a mother who held multiple jobs sets you apart and makes you ideal for this role. Essentially, they value your background instead of seeing it as a disadvantage." This resonated with Jessica, as she had long concealed her origins and felt ashamed of them. However, she found a profession that appreciates and leverages her true story. "I'm taking the job," she declared, "and I have a question for you." "What is it?" "Would you attend my swearing-in ceremony? It may not be as significant as a law firm partnership, but it holds more significance to me than any other professional achievement in my career." Naturally, she agreed to attend. She wouldn't miss such a special moment. At events where they ask me to speak about my past and the motivation behind my work, I'll mention you, not just as my childhood acquaintance, but as my mother, the one who nurtured me, the educator of crucial values like justice, fairness, and advocacy for those less fortunate. My eyes welled up with emotion. I feel deeply privileged. The occasion was the ceremony at Albany's state capitol building, smaller than the law firm gathering, yet immeasurably more significant. Among the attendees were Jessica's nonprofit colleagues, some clients she assisted, board members who became friends, and officials in the community who backed her endeavors. As Jessica took her oath, I sat in the front row, witnessing her as she swore to serve New York honestly and diligently. She exuded self-assurance and professionalism, yet showed a tranquility that was absent during her corporate law phase. Following the event, a modest gathering ensued. Jessica circulated among the attendees, yet she frequently returned to me, engaging me in discussions and presenting me to her latest colleagues. "Meet my mother, Bella Marcus," she repeatedly said. "She's the one who instilled in me the significance of this line of work." When it was time for speeches, Jessica claimed the microphone and scanned the audience. "I want to thank each of you for being here today. This role holds immense importance for me, not just professionally, but personally." I could see her smile from the crowd, growing up in Millbrook, New York, with a single mother who juggled 3 jobs to make ends meet for us. She cleaned office buildings at night so my clothes would be clean for school during the day. She worked as a waitress to afford my textbooks and sold insurance on weekends to cover law school applications. The room fell silent, everyone hanging on her every word. Once, I felt embarrassed by my past, fearing it diminished my qualifications and value for success. I went as far as to disown my origins, feigning a different familial background. Some in the audience seemed to share knowing glances, perhaps recalling our widely publicized altercation. That was my most regrettable mistake, for my past isn't something to be ashamed of. It is my greatest asset. My mother's tireless efforts to provide me with opportunities have instilled in me an intimate understanding of the struggles families encounter when seeking legal aid. She stared intently at me, her gaze filled with conviction. The fact that she persevered in believing in me, even during times when I doubted myself and her, taught me that everyone merits a champion. This office will embody that spirit, standing up for those who require support. The applause was heartfelt and enduring. The audience nodded, evidently touched by Jessica's honesty about her life's journey. I conclude by expressing publicly what I should have said long ago, Mom. Thank you for all the sacrifices you made on my behalf. Thank you for never abandoning hope in me, even when I fell short. And thank you for instilling in me the pride in where we come from rather than shame. Inviting me forward, I present to you Bella Marcus, my mother, my hero, and the reason I stand here today. As I stepped forward, I embraced my daughter while the audience applauded. This time, as the cameras flashed, they captured a moment of reconciliation and pride rather than confrontation and embarrassment. I whispered in her ear, "I love you, darling." She responded, "I love you too, Mom, and I'm proud to be your daughter." That evening, Jessica and I dined together at a quaint Albany restaurant. It was the first time we shared a meal alone since that distressing day at the law firm. "How are you feeling?" I inquired. She replied, "Happy. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm right where I belong, doing what I was meant to do. And aren't you concerned about how your new colleagues perceive your past? Why should I be? My background is what makes me suitable for this position. They hired me because of where I originate, not despite it." This brought a smile to my face, reminding me of the young woman who had tried so hard to conceal her working class origins by claiming that I was deceased. "You've made great strides." "We both have." "Mother, there's something I need you to understand." "What is it?" "That day at the law firm when you revealed everything I'd asked you not to tell, it was the best thing for me." I arched an eyebrow. "Truly?" "Because you appeared quite distressed about it initially." I was indeed distraught, but I needed to be distraught. I needed to reach my lowest point before I could determine who I truly wanted to become. After contemplating for a while, Jessica realized she was no longer angry about your actions. By fulfilling her request, you made her face the true nature of her demands. If you had simply complied without question, she might have never recognized her drift from her beliefs. That day, she was filled with anger and pain. You had every justification to feel so. She asked you to erase your presence in her life, to feign non-existence, which was inexcusable. Yet she forgave you. Why? As she gazed upon her daughter, the woman who'd shattered her heart and then mended it anew, she explained, "You returned to being the person she raised you to be. You ceased avoiding your true self and began accepting it. You recalled that love is not something to be ashamed of." Jessica extended her hand across the table towards you. "I promise, Mom, I will never again ask you to suppress who you are or what you signify in my life. You are my mother, and I take pride in that truth. Any dislike can find another place." I chuckled. "Language, Jessica. I apologize, Mom, but I speak sincerely. I know you feel the same, dear, and that's sufficient for me." As we sat in that modest eatery, I pondered our odyssey. From love to deception, confrontation, healing, renewal. It wasn't simple or aesthetically pleasing, but it was authentic. And in the end, that was all that truly mattered. 2 years subsequently, I was preparing for Jessica's wedding. Yes, a wedding. I encountered someone, a public defender named Michael, who appreciated her dedication to serving working families as he shared it. Someone who perceived her background as an asset rather than a hindrance. Someone eager to meet me just 2 weeks into our relationship, because he couldn't envision being with someone unfamiliar to their family. The wedding was set to be intimate, taking place in the garden at my house in Millbrook. Jessica desired an intimate and genuine wedding, unlike the grand spectacle she might have arranged during her corporate law years. As I donned my mother of the bride dress, a lovely blue one that Jessica had chosen and insisted on paying for, I reflected on how contrasting this day was from what I had envisioned during those difficult months post-confrontation. I once contemplated whether I'd ever see my daughter again, let alone escort her down the aisle, as she'd never had a father to perform that role. I once pondered if the love between us could be restored after the lies, shame, and public embarrassment. But here we were, 2 years later, closer than ever before. Not because we had forgotten about the past, but because we had honestly dealt with it and moved on completely. My phone rang as I was accessorizing with earrings. "Mom, are you ready?" "Almost, dear. How are you feeling?" "Fantastic. Flawless. Perfect." Indeed, she held a handful, yet they were exhilarated rather than apprehensive. The joy and conviction resonated from her voice, the product of self-awareness and clarity about her desires. "Mom?" "Yes." I owe you thanks. For what in particular now? For not abandoning me, for battling for us when I couldn't fight for us myself. There's no need to thank me for loving you, Jessica. That's just a mother's duty. No, it isn't. Some mothers might have surrendered me, might have deemed me unworthy of the struggle. You didn't. You are my daughter. To you, I will always be worth the fight. Post our call, I stood before my bedroom mirror, confronting the woman who had weathered so much over the past few years. I appeared more matured, perhaps, but also resilient, more certain of myself. I'd grasped that love does not tolerate disrespect. I'd learned that sometimes one must be prepared to lose everything in order to preserve what truly matters. I discovered that the ones who care for you shouldn't ask you to diminish yourself. Crucially, I grasped that at times, showing love could involve giving someone exactly what they request, despite it not aligning with their true desires. In the house, I could distinguish the noises of wedding preparations. Jessica's colleagues from the Attorney General's office were putting out chairs in the garden. Michael's relatives were organizing flowers. Mrs. Patterson was managing things with the precision of a military commander. The wedding was the kind that celebrated who Jessica genuinely was, rather than the persona she attempted to portray. An hour later, I found myself in my garden, gripping my daughter's arm as we got ready to walk down the aisle together. She looked stunning in her plain white gown, her grandmother's pearls, and a smile that was utterly sincere. "Are you ready?" I asked. "Ready?" she replied. As we descended the aisle together, I observed the faces of those significant to us at that moment. Jessica's esteemed peers, family members like Michael, Millbrook neighbors, and clients from the nonprofit who had witnessed her advocacy. All these people appreciated Jessica for who she truly was instead of a facade. On this significant day, as Jessica embraced me warmly, she declared, "I love you, Mom," loud enough for everyone to hear. My response was, "I love you too, dear." Watching my daughter unite with her cherished partner, I reminisced about the viral video that ignited this journey. The video depicted a mother in pain and anger, yet this moment, filled with genuine joy, authenticity, and love, embodied the true essence of that altercation. It wasn't about retribution or humiliation. It was about honesty. Honesty about love being something to be proud of rather than ashamed. Honesty about one's roots not being something to conceal. What truly matters is that significant people will appreciate you for who you genuinely are, not a facade. And it's also true that some of our most agonizing moments can pave the way for our most beautiful ones. As Jessica and Michael pledged to love and respect each other wholeheartedly, I wept joyfully. My daughter had asked me to conceal my identity as her mother. Now she was revealing it herself to all. This simple act transformed everything. Thank you for accompanying me on this remarkable journey of heartache, evolution, and reconciliation. If this tale touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who needs to recollect that love may necessitate standing up for what's right, even when it hurts. Remember, you should never need to disguise yourself for someone else's convenience. Those who genuinely adore you will cherish your authentic self. Until the next time, take care of yourselves and each other.